Hello there, guys. I'm doing a test right now just because I did some changes and I want to make sure that everything is all right, that everything sounds all right, and I hope you guys don't mind. Alrighty, bye bye. All right, this is going to be a new test real quick. I just want to make sure that it sounds better because I heard some weird noises earlier and I want to make sure that it's gone. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in Delta T Racing. Sorry guys, it's been a long time. It's been 4 weeks and I wish you guys a pleasant, well, new year because we're currently in the new year. In 2025, hopefully, with a lot of racing here in Delta T Racing. And also Merry Christmas to whoever celebrates Christmas, of course. Currently, we're going to be racing in Azerbaijan, as it is first going to be a sprint qualifying. Then we're going to be having, which is a one-shot qualifying, obviously. And we're going to be having a sprint race, once again a one-shot qualifying, to then determine the starting grid for the actual 50% race. The race is around Baku. It's a very difficult, a very interesting track as well. Not too many overtaking opportunities going into Sector 3. Going into Sector 2, neither. Sector 1 is definitely where it needs to happen for the drivers here in Azerbaijan. Turn 1, Turn 2, down the straight. Coming out of Turn 2, you've got a little DRS straight. Going into Turn 3, kind of a 90 degrees corner. It's kind of a rectangle if you look at it on the map. But 5 more seconds before the qualifying is going to start. The drivers only have one chance to put a good lap on the board. We're currently on board with Kenji, who is the Haas driver. Coming down the straight right now, we might want to put on the track map and the lap data, of course. And then down the straight, we go into Turn 1, hard braking zone. Goes a little bit too deep. Watch out for the wall there on the exit, as he also touched that one. Going into Turn 2, hard braking zone as well. A little lockup there by the Haas driver, and a little slip as well coming out of Turn 2. Down the straight he goes. He's all the way into a P16, which is not a great qualifying position to be in, obviously. And then heading into Turn 3, this was the turn I was talking about, 90 degrees corner. And then Turn 4 coming right up, and also a 90 degrees corner. So Sector 1 is quite easy, a lot of 90 degrees corners. You can easily shove it down the inside. Watch out for the guy around the outside, though, because there's not much room to make that overtake. Into the chicane we go. A lot of curb on the inside there. It's better if you don't touch that curb, because you're going to be losing a lot of speed coming out of the corner as well. Romero has left the session. He lost connection. Kenji is definitely not doing a good job here around Azerbaijan tonight. Miyagi retired from the session as well, so we're going to be seeing 2 good drivers all the way at the back of the grid, as Kenji is going to be right in front of his very own teammate, Skipper, who hasn't been performing very well in the last couple of races, unfortunately enough. The standings is looking really interesting, as we've got a new driver in P1. We haven't seen him before. It's the Alpine driver, Evan. And apparently he's already taken pole position here. Fastest second sector as well for the Alpine driver. Coming down the straight we go, as Evan just finds himself in front of Zetterval and Brandon. Brandon being the championship leader at this point of the season. Now, we still have 2 more races after this one, so still big points up for grabs for the drivers, as Evan put himself in a pole position with a 139.1. And hopefully that is going to be enough to win the sprint race as well. I mean, there's nothing much he could have done. But pole position goes to Evan, Zetterval in P2, and Brandon in P3. Brandon definitely needs... Oh, apparently Brandon overtook the Ferrari driver down the straight. So a lot of straight line speed there for Brandon. Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was... yeah. Well, we want Nell is not making me feel very welcome here, but it's okay. Rally at MP4, Nexton in P5, and then we have got Hackett in P6, Joe in P7, Gooner in P8, Stewart in P9, and Hammers UK in P10. Further, we've got Benny Buno, Daniel, Barry Bogarowski, Rika, Kenji, Skipper, Miyagi, and Romero, who both haven't set a time, unfortunately enough. Constructor-wise, we are looking at a Mercedes being in, well, the driver's seat. I mean, how do you say that? The winning seed. That doesn't even make sense. Doesn't really matter that much. RMP1 in the Constructors' Championship. Followed closely behind is Kick Sauber with only 20 points. So I think that the difference between the Constructors in P1 and P2 is a little closer than the actual Drivers' Championship, where there's 40 points between Brandon and, if I'm not mistaken, P2 was the Kick Sauber driver. Who was the Kick Sauber driver? Let me have a look. F1 results. No, that is not what we need. We need the standings, obviously, as the drivers are currently putting on the right setup. But, I mean, you know, Brandon has done a tremendous push in the last 2 races. He got the race win in Monaco. He's got the race win in Saudi Arabia. And maybe he can make it a three-piece here tonight in in Azerbaijan. P2 was Reliot, and he kind of didn't do very well in Monaco. He got a P8 there. But a P3 in Saudi Arabia to still stay a little closer to the Mercedes driver. And then we've got Benny Buno in P3. He's got 107 points. So the battle for P2 is a little bit more interesting than the battle for P1, because there's, 36 points in between those two. So, Brandon, throughout the season, he's done a great job. 2 wins, 5 podiums, 1 pole, 1 fastest lap, and then best race, best qualifying, goes to the Mercedes driver. Really, he hasn't got a race win yet. Maybe that is something he can get today. Although he doesn't seem... No, P4. Yeah, it's a sprint race anyway, so it shouldn't matter too much. No worries, Daniel. Oh, I get it now. My apologies, buddy. Yeah, it's okay. All right, so let's have a look what the strategies are going to be like. Everyone is probably going to have the same setup. The same tire strategies. The same setup, probably not, because a lot of drivers like to have oversteery cars, but not everyone. Some drivers like understeery cars, and that is quite interesting if you ask me. I don't like understeery cars at all, because you can easily shove it into the wall, especially on a track like Azerbaijan, where there is no room around the outside out of the corner, out of the turn. Usually, for example, you've got Austria, where there's actually no walls around the outside. Well, Azerbaijan is quite the opposite, where you have walls everywhere, and you don't want to end up in the wall, especially in turn 1, and that is where we're going to be seeing a lot of carnage here today in Azerbaijan, especially during the race start. A lot of guys trying to make an overtake, as the race start is probably where you're going to be gaining the most positions in the shortest amount of time. And let's see whether somebody is going to shove it down the inside, pushing a couple of drivers into the wall, or whether we're going to keep it consistent and clean here in Delta T Racing. So once again, guys, this is only a sprint race. That means we will be having 9, 10, or 11 laps, depending on how many laps the 50% race is. But, Evan, he got pole position, but he's also been disqualified here during the formation lap. So that means he's going to be starting a little further down the road, and then this is given a good opportunity for Brandon to make that overtake already going into turn 1. First race post Sergi, gonna take it easy is what Benny Buno says, and that is indeed what he has to do. It's 5 red lights here around Azerbaijan, and the guys are ready to go. Evan in pole position, as we're looking at a very weird screen right now, and it is Brandon already going down the inside. Look at that. Nobody ends up into the wall. It's all clean coming through turn 1 as Evan keeps the lead here in Delta T Racing. Relia trying to go down the inside. Joe Hayward against Hackett. 4P5 as the Mercedes driver gains 2 positions in the first couple of corners here in Azerbaijan. Down the straight we go. Is Joe Hayward looking for another overtake? Seems like it. Shoves it down the inside, but the Kick Sauber driver has a better exit coming out of the corner, and he keeps it ahead of the Mercedes driver. Beautiful defense there by Reliant. There's already a yellow flag. That is going to be Miyake all the way in P18. He didn't have a good qualifying lap either. So is this already something he has to be looking at into the race? Maybe a different setup, maybe something else, as Stewart is trying to go down the inside of the Mercedes driver. Hayward has been doing a good job in the last couple of races, but what can he do here today in Azerbaijan? There's been some carnage in Sector 2 between Barry Bogarovsky, Kenji, and Daniel, as Daniel is not in a position where we would be looking him to be in, as he's got a broken front wing as well. This is not the race start he wanted to have, as he's going to be pushed all the way to P17 with Romero possibly going down the inside. No, he backs out of it, going back to the front of the lead. We've got Evan trying to hold up strong here. Brandon right behind him, and Zetterfall finishes the top 3. Elliott keeping up strong, currently in P4 with Joe Hayward gaining 2 positions overall. Stewart also having a good race here in P6. As Hackett is trying to keep the Kick Sauber driver right behind him. Gunnar has got the slipstream. Hackett is a little bit further down the road, and here comes Gunnar with a lot of straight line speed. That must mean he's got better wings. well, a better wing setup for this overtake. And down the inside he goes. Reliant into the wall. The Kick Sauber driver has finished this sprint race already. And unfortunately, that is not going to be by crossing the finish line. It is by putting himself into the wall. Gunnar is possibly going to give that position back as he pushed Hackett into the wall. The Red Bull driver and down the inside of Benny Buno right now. Here comes Nexton. Benny Buno keeping the position. Beautifully done by Benny Buno. Look at that defense from the McLaren driver. As Gunnar is still holding up strong in P6 right now. Let's go back to the top three as they're currently running away from Stewart and Joe Hayward. Stewart did manage to make that overtake on the Mercedes driver earlier this lap, as it appears to be only 9 laps here in Azerbaijan. The sprint race is not too long, but obviously we're going to be having a 50% race afterwards. And that is where all the magic is going to happen for most of these drivers. And hopefully Brandon can keep up the pace. You know, he's doing a good job in the last couple of races. A race win in Monaco, a race win in Saudi Arabia, and possibly a race win here in Azerbaijan as well. The drivers really need to watch out coming out of turn 14 there, as there's a lot of walls. A lot of walls around the outside. You definitely don't want to kiss those walls with your front wing, because that front wing is gonna go. You're gonna have to come back into the pits to switch those front wings. Apparently, Khan in the chat says, "Come on, Stu, get the foot down." And we're possibly looking at an overtake here from Evan. Down the straight he goes. Dearest opportunity as Zetterval is looking to make a move as well, but he backs out just in time. Stewart 1.5 seconds behind as there's a lot of position changes here in the middle of the field. Benny Buno also making a position on his very own teammate Hammers UK, and I feel like the McLaren drivers have been helping each other throughout the whole season already, but Hammers UK was a little bit faster coming through the first part of the season. Right now he's all the way in P10. Not a bad position to be in. It's halfway through the grid, but still not a decent position to get points in this sprint race, because only the top 8 gets points. As Evan stays in P1, as we're currently entering Sector 2. How many ERS do the drivers still have? Brandon's still a lot of ERS, so does Zetterval, so does Stewart. Stewart is pushing though. He's trying to stay closer to these guys, but he's bringing Joe with him. And it's going to be a 5-way battle for this sprint race win. Hackett currently 3 seconds down. That is not going to be good enough to get the DRS. He's probably going to get overtaken by Gunnar in P7, who does have the DRS on the Williams driver. He's bringing Nexton with him, and Nexton is a very dangerous client here for these two, because the Red Bull driver has got a lot of pace in the back. And let's see whether he can bring those running shoes out here on track in Azerbaijan. Let's go back to the front of the pack, as it's still Evan in the lead, but he's given the DRS to Brandon. He couldn't take a distance of about a second to the Mercedes driver, so Brandon is going to shoot through here. Let's see whether he's choosing the inside line or the outside line. Is he even having enough pace? It appears to be so. He's going down the inside. Here comes the Mercedes driver, and he takes the lead of the race. Brandon is back on a roll. Watch out for the wall there on the exit, as I said so many times already. And Zetterval is just patiently waiting here, not wearing out the tires. He's playing the mind games here for these two in front of him. Let's go on board with Gunnar, who's still finding himself in a very difficult position. Let's go on board here with Rika as well, as he's finding himself right behind Barry Bogarovsky, all the way from P10 to P16. The drivers have gained positions, mainly because Reliant put himself into the wall, and that is not going to be great for the Drivers' Championship, because if Brandon gets an extra 8 points here, the gap will be a little bit too big, I'm afraid, for Reliant. He would need 2 race wins, and I think Brandon would need to crash out in both. So that is not looking great there for Reliant, but maybe a P2 can still be his goal. You know, you never know, because he's not scoring any points. He might be overtaken as well by the other driver who's in P3. Who again is in P3? Let me just double check. P3 goes to Mr. Benny Buno, but he's just come back from surgery, and he's not scoring any points in this sprint race either, so he's going to be all the way in P10. He still needs to gain 2 positions on Hammersuke and Nexton, and then he would be only scoring 1 point. He needs 5 for the Drivers' Championship, so let's see whether Benny Buno can get those points on the board here tonight in Azerbaijan. Evan will have the DRS. The both of them kind of took a gap to Zetterval, as Evan is going to go down the inside as well into turn 1. And as I said, this is a good overtaking opportunity, but the Mercedes driver is not giving up. Brandon back into the lead of the race. What a defense, as I think Evan has been struggling with those medium tires for quite some while, for quite some time as well, because he's been sliding all over the place every now and then. Let's have a look if he's going to take another shot here going into turn 3. It doesn't appear to be so, as tire wear here in Azerbaijan is awful. You know, the guys won't be choosing any soft tires because they are just awful. You know, you can last 2 or 3 laps on those soft tires. It's undoable, and you can see Evans there sliding coming through turn 6 as well. As right now, Stewart is really trying to go into the back of Zetterval here. I mean, not trying to go into the back, but trying to make that overtake, obviously. He's saving ERS as well, coming into the castle section, and this is one of the most difficult sections on the F1 calendar because it's so tight, and you definitely shouldn't be going side by side through that section. But every now and then there's a daredevil who wants to make a move coming through the castle section, and it's always spectacular to see because either one driver ends up with the wall, or we are seeing a spectacular move from the guy who tries it. Evan, oh, it's Stewart this time around. I thought it was Evan, but Stewart this time around losing a bit of traction coming out of turn 15. Down the straight we go, as Khan says, I'm going to call with him, just showing support. A lull. There we go. Stewart and Zetterval are having a battle, but it's Joe Hayward who takes the podium for now. As Zetterval loses 2 positions, definitely doesn't have the straight line speed. Stewart trying to stick it down the inside, but he doesn't have his wheels alongside the Mercedes driver, so no overtaking opportunities there for Stewart. He had to back out, but maybe another opportunity here coming down the straight. He will have another DRS opportunity. ERS wide open for Stewart, but maybe he should be saving some ERS because he's got none in the tank left. He's going to go for it anyway. Down the inside goes Stewart. And what a spectacular move. The Mercedes driver had nothing to defend from the Alpine driver. And we're just going to have to wait a little bit to see whether Joe Hayward is going to take revenge. He's got plenty of ERS left in the tank compared to Stewart. And he should definitely try and make that overtake. Maybe bring Zetterval with him down the straight. And then, I mean, obviously Stewart is going to lose 2 positions down the straight because Zetterval and Joe Hayward will both have the DRS. Oh, and it's Stewart into the wall. He loses the front wing and also the wheel, and that's game over for the Alpine driver. But the question is, did Joe Hayward get damage off that? It looked like he went into the back of the Alpine driver, but Zetterval really got caught off guard there. 1.8 seconds, 1.9 seconds right now behind Joe Hayward. It's the top 2 who are currently battling for the maximum points here in Azerbaijan, the sprint race, obviously. As Evan is going to go down the straight. 3 more laps to go after this one. Down the straight we go. Into the slipstream he goes. And it's just not enough for Evan. It seems like he doesn't have the pace coming down the straight. And I don't know what kind of peppers Brandon put in his engine, but this is incredible. He just keeps the Alpine driver behind him, even without the DRS, and maybe he's been draining that ERS down the straight, but you never know. Daniel Somers in the chat is crying because obviously his idol, should I say idol, I don't know, but Evans, on the other hand, is trying to make a move down the inside with the DRS. Side by side, they go into turn 3. It's the Mercedes driver who has a better exit, has the inside line coming into turn 4 right now, and he keeps the position. This is some beautiful battling between the both of them. But who's going to come out ahead? Will it be the Mercedes or will it be the Alpine driver? Mercedes is scoring some big points for the constructors' battle as well right now, as they're extending their lead to the Kick Sauber team. And Evan is not going to go for it, obviously, into the castle section. It's an uphill corner. You never know what's coming up ahead. A little slip there by Evan. And a lot of guys have gained positions here. Daniel, who came into the pits earlier this race, dropped 3. And then we've got Stewart, obviously, dropping 7. But he had such a great race, gaining 5 positions throughout the first 6 laps. Then crashed into the wall, dropped 7 again. I mean, dropped, let me think, 13 or 12. All the way into P16. He's not going to be scoring a single point here, but maybe he can make some revenge in the actual Grand Prix. Evan and Brandon are not giving up, but we might want to showcase some other drivers as well, as Nexton is having a good comeback race. He was all the way in P10, if I'm not mistaken, and currently in P6. He did have a good qualifying, dropped a few positions, and oh, Evan back into the lead of the race. Yes, indeed. Once again, a move coming into turn 1. And will Brandon make a move again coming into a turn 3? You never know. Nexton is pushing up the ladder again. His next target will be Zetterval, currently in P4. He's catching up to Joe Hayward again. He was about 2 seconds behind the Mercedes driver, currently 1.3, 1.4. And it all depends on whether the tires are done for or not for the Swedish driver. It appears like they are not. Hackett with a little snap there. He's going to lose the DRS to the Hungarian driver Nexton, as there's a yellow flag coming into sector 1. That is going to be Skipper, who crashed out but didn't DNF, so that's going to be a broken front wing or something alike. Let's go on board with Brandon here. He's losing the toe of the Alpine driver, but Evan is struggling on those medium tires, and they will be, well, they will be around 40, maybe 30% off tire wear here. And it just depends on who is the better tire manager. Will it be Brandon? Will it be Evan? It will be Brandon, if I'm not mistaken. Gunnar now with a 10-second time penalty after a severe collision with Barry Bogarowski. And that was a battle for P9. Gunnar is giving that position back to the Williams driver, though, but he got a penalty for it anyway, so he's going to drop about 3 positions. 1 to Rika, 1 to Miyagi, maybe 1 to Skipper. Depends on whether he can get back to the Haas driver. I mean, to the Gig Sauber driver. He's currently 14, 15 seconds behind, 11 seconds right now, as we're looking at a battle between Evan and Brandon, and also Zetterval and Joe Hayward. Here comes Zetterval down the inside, keeps the podium position alive, as Miyagi is retiring from the race, and that is most likely because of a crash that he had into the faster section of this track. Did he use ERS? Probably, because you're not going to be crashing into that section when you don't use ERS. Now, coming into the last 2 sectors of the sprint race, it's Brandon and Evan, and Rika retired from the race as well. That is going to be a crash coming out of turn 1. Here we go. Brandon about 7 tenths, 8 tenths, and I'm afraid this race win will go to Evan. There is a 1 second gap, and it just depends on whether Brandon is going to be sticking within that DRS or not. It's Evan pushing, coming through the castle section. Brandon back into the DRS, 8 tenths for the Mercedes driver right now. How much ERS do the guys have saved? A lot for both of them, and it's Brandon who's going to be pushing everything coming into sector 3. Brandon is dropping out of the DRS. He won't be having any DRS down the straight. And it's Evan who's going to get this sprint race win. The Alpine driver, his first sprint race, his first race here in Delta 2 Racing. And he gets that race win anyway. Here he goes, coming out of the last corner. Goes the Alpine and the Mercedes driver. And it's just not enough for Brandon, I'm afraid. Down the straight he goes. He doesn't even have the slipstream anymore either. And Evan is even pulling away. Look at the straight line speed from the Alpine driver. GG's. Now Joe and Zetterval are still having the battle, and it's Zetterval. No, it's Joe just across the line, and he took that overtake. 10 thousandths of a second. And Joe Hayward puts himself on the podium. 2 Mercedes is on the podium, and what a performance from Joe. He kept it composed, he kept it consistent, and he kept the podium position for Mercedes. Beautifully done. Are we having any other battles? Doesn't look like it. Barry Bogarowski gains the position because of those 10 seconds for Gunnar. Skipper coming across the line. It's not going to be enough for Skipper either. And that is going to be your Azerbaijan race. Daniel in P13. He's 15 seconds behind Romero, and he definitely didn't have the race he hoped for. I mean, in the last couple of races, he hasn't been performing tremendously either. Let me have a look. Daniel, he hasn't finished on the podium yet. His best performance was last week. I mean, a couple of weeks ago in Saudi Arabia. He had a P4, but the race win goes to Evan. What a race he has had. Another decent amount of points for Alpine. That's going to be 8 in the bag already, but maybe even more Depends on whether Alpine actually scores those points, because I think Evan is a reserve driver, isn't he? The other Alpine driver is Stewart. No, it's Maggot, who's not going to be there tonight. He wasn't there in Abu Dhabi either. He was there in Saudi Arabia and Monaco, where he got a decent amount of points. But I think if he actually showed up tonight, he might have been able to grab P3. Obviously the podium. Because with Elliott crashing out, he's not going to be scoring any points. You never know. It's just assumptions we make here. Let's have a quick look with the results of tonight's sprint race. Evan takes the lead and also the race win of this sprint race. Brandon in P2 and Joe Hayward with a masterclass as well. Thank you, Jay, in the chat. Wait, Hayward, did you just say from yourself that it was a masterclass? Because his name is Joe Hayward, and the person in the chat who says that his name is Jay. So these are the other results that we are seeing. I mean, I don't have much time because it's only 25 seconds and I can't go throughout the grid in 25 seconds, I'm afraid. But apart from that, we have once again seen a great race here in Delta T Racing. I'm just going to take a quick sip of water because my throat is kind of tired, if I'm being honest. And I'm also going to listen to the live stream real quick to see if the quality is all right, because I did some changes compared to a couple of weeks ago. And I want to see if it's better or not. So, yeah. Thank you, Daniel. Yeah, I just listened to it myself, and it does sound quite well. And we're going to be going for another qualifying here in Azerbaijan. And we're not going to be looking at Kenji this time around. We saw him earlier. We might want to go on board with Benny Buno, who's taking the lead, and he drops back all the way to P18. He misjudged his braking point there. Let's go on board with the championship leader, Brandon, who is in a battle with Stewart. And this is going to be very interesting. Stewart wasn't able to keep up the pace of his very own teammate, Evan, and Brandon in the lead of the race, of the sprint race, obviously. Right now, it seems like he has the lead of the qualifying. And Evan has got the pace in Sector 2. And that is something we have to be looking at, because that is also the sector where he gained a lot of time in Brandon, where he made up that 1 second on Brandon as well. Look at that, Evan back in P2. It's a 1-2 for Alpine right now. And next one is going to be an annoying climb as well for Brandon, because the Red Bull and the Mercedes both have a very interesting past throughout the season. I mean, I actually don't know that, sure. I haven't been there for a couple of races, but at some point, Nexton was actually doing a pretty good job. He dropped back. He didn't participate in a couple of races. I don't know what happened. Evan back at P3, Brandon in the middle of both the LP drivers, and that is definitely something where you don't want to be in the fastest second sector as well for the Mercedes driver. How much further up the road is Stewart? Evan with a lot of straight line speed as well. As you can see there, coming out of turn 15, he made that overtake on Brandon, just like that. And Brandon makes that overtake again coming down the straight. So does that mean Brandon has a lot of straight line speed? It seems like he is, because Stewart is getting overtaken. Look at that, Brandon for pole position, and he definitely has the lower wings of the three on the podium, because Stewart just dropped the position because of the straight line speed of the Mercedes driver. And now it's going to be 1 for Brandon, 2 for Stewart, and 3 for Evan. Further down the road, we have got Nexton Zetterval Miyagi, who this time around got a good qualifying pace. He didn't have a good qualifying in the sprint race qualifying. The main reason for that is because he actually disqualified, because he obviously probably cut a corner or something like that. He crossed the track limits, whatever. Rally at MP7, not too great if you ask me. Joe MP8, not great either. Hackett MP9, decent, and Daniel MP10. And further down the road, we have got Hammers UK, Barry Bogorovsky, Kenji, Rika, Skipper, Benny Buno, Romero, and Gunnar, who got disqualified. Romero, once again, no time. And does that mean he's not in the lobby either? He was disqualified, disconnected throughout the sprint race qualifying. And I'm not sure if he actually got back into the race. I don't know. Well, it doesn't matter too much. We're going to be settling for this 50% race, as there were 9 laps during the sprint race. I think it must be either 27 or 28 laps, or 29. It could have been 29 as well. So it's between 27 and 29. And if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, it's 27. Because it's always 33% off the 50% race. So 50%, 33% off 50%. If the 33% is 9, 50% would obviously be 27. But it ranges from 27 to 29. Because if it's 30, then it turns 10 in the sprint race. You know what it is. Maths, whatever. But setup-wise, are the guys choosing the same setup? I don't know if Parc Fermé is on or off. But usually the guys are going to be choosing a different setup compared to the sprint race, just to make sure the tire wear is holding up strong. Let's have a look with the tire strategies as well. As, Stuart and Brandon both choosing the medium tires. No, not the mats. Evan in P3. We've got Nixon and Zetterval in P4 and P5 on the medium tires. Miyagi and Reliot both starting on the hard tires. Joe on the medium, so he's looking to make an overtake on Miyagi and Reliot most likely. Hackett and Daniel both starting on the hard tires, so they're going to be looking at an overtake from Hermasuke and Barry Bogorovsky behind them. Who kind of has a surprising result. Benny Buno, all the way P16. Me and the homie hate mats. Man. Yeah, well, there will be no more mats coming up. Only to calculate the standings, right, guys? I don't know. I mean, I don't even need to calculate the standings either. You guys can do that for yourself. If you like the mats, if you don't like the mats, well, yeah. Just chill and whatever. Looking at Gunnar and Betty Buno, this is not a great result for both of them. Especially Gunnar, who's trying to hold up strong. Both driver standings wise, but also constructor wise. Romero wants to get back into the lobby. Yes, sir. Wants to be your friend. I'm gonna invite you back, Romero. Hold up. It just takes some time before you're showing up in my friends list. I don't know. Khan explains what happens in Liar's Bar last night. Yeah, tell me, Khan. Tell me what happened. So, friends, let's have a quick look. Where is Mr. Romero? Here he is. Let's send him an invite. I assume you lads are all from the UK? I mean, Daniel is quite of a... Although the last name kind of makes me think you're Belgian or Dutch, though. Somers is not a British name. Alright, guys, we are ready to go. Stuart has been disqualified already during the formation lap, meaning he did not place his car on the right track. I mean, on the right position. And we are ready to go. It's 5 red lights here in Azerbaijan for round 10 of season 11 in Delta T Racing. It's 5 red lights and away we go. We had a little glitch there by the McLaren driver, but a good start from Brandon already. He keeps the lead of the race. Stewart in P2, Evan in P3, and Zetterval makes up a position to the Red Bull driver. Around the outside he goes. Can he keep the position? There's 2 drivers who crashed into each other. Gunnar and Romero. And it's Zetterval gaining a position. Also, Reliot and Joe Hayward gain a position to the Aston Martin driver. Let's have a quick look here with Nexton, who's going to be furious. Oh, and he gets punted in the back as well by Reliot. Is Reliot going to go around the outside? Seems like he is. But he backs out of it again. Nexton will not be happy with that, as Joe Hayward is knocking on the door saying, guys, can you please speed up? Because the top 4 is currently running away. They're already out of the 1 second, meaning they won't be having any DRS coming down the straight. Hackett currently dropped the position as well. Rika gaining 3 positions throughout the first lap of this race. That is also the biggest position winner here in Azerbaijan at this point during the race. But we still have plenty more laps to go, as it's apparently only 26, not 27. I thought it was 27 to 29 lap range, but that's not going to be the case. 26 it is around Azerbaijan, as Daniel is knocking on the door of Rika as well. As we might want to go on board here with Zetterval, currently in P4, trying to go into the top 3 potentially. Doesn't have the DRS yet. Evan doesn't have the pace like he used to, but he's also on the hard tires, so we should be patient with Evan. Zetterval is not going around the outside. Beautiful overtake there by the Ferrari driver. Without the DRS as well. We're only entering lap 2 right now, so that means the drivers only will have the DRS right now. This does give the opportunity to Evan to make an overtake coming down the second straight, coming out of turn 2 here, as he's a little bit too far down the road. I mean, the hard tires, it's hard going into sector 1, so you don't have a lot of traction coming out of the corners, which you kind of need. Oh, almost going into the back of the Ferrari driver, and he had to watch out, so he went a little deeper into the corner, but almost went into the wall. Kind of lost a bit of time with that. So we need to keep our eyes closer on Evans later throughout the race. Right now, it's not really that important. Oh, and there's a Kick Sauber who went into the wall there. And Miyagi trying to hold up a couple of guys, most likely medium tire runners. As Miyagi definitely doesn't seem to be too fast on those hard tires. And this is a horror story for Miyagi. Qualified in P6, currently in P8, and he crashed out throughout the race as well. So it's not looking great for Miyagi. We might go on board with Stewart and Brandon, who are still battling for that race win. Currently entering lap 3. As that will be a back and forward battle down the straight, I'm afraid. There won't be too many moves throughout the first couple of laps, because the drivers don't want to make any risks. They don't want to take any risks. And they especially don't want to crash each other out, because that will do no one good. Yeah, maybe it will do Stewart worse than it would be Brandon, because Brandon, I mean, Elliott is in P7 anyway, so he's not going to be scoring enough points. Stewart is now trying to make that overtake. Doesn't get there, I'm afraid. Joe Hayward does make that overtake on Nexton, currently up 3 positions. And I feel like Joe Hayward is really a driver who doesn't necessarily have a lot of qualifying pace, but throughout the race he really shows up, and he wakes up from the dead, and currently that's showing here as well in Azerbaijan. Maybe the tire wear is better for the Mercedes driver. Maybe his consistency is just better. It's hard to tell from this point. I mean, from this view. But yeah, Hammers UK looking to make an overtake once again on Miyagi. It's not looking like it. Kenji maybe on the tail of Benny Buno. Benny Buno, good comeback race after a very disappointing qualifying though. He qualified in P16, currently in P12, meaning he gained 4 positions. So you might want to go on board with Benny Buno as well, as he's looking to make an overtake on Hackett. It's quite of a DRS train here at the moment, entering Sector 2. And the driver who will be losing the most out of it is Rika. Although Rika just outside that 1 second of Hammers UK, so maybe he needs to push a little bit more, trying to get closer to Hammers UK, and then he will have the DRS again. He won't be losing a position to Hackett and Benny Buno, and also Kenji here in P13. But that just only matters down the straight throughout the corners. You don't want to be close to the guys ahead of you, because you're going to be wearing out your tires even more. You really need to watch out with that. Also, a lot of understeer throughout the corners where you're a little bit closer. Let's say you're within 5/10 of the drivers ahead of you. You're going to be having a lot of understeer, and you're going to end up in the wall, I'm afraid. And that is maybe what happened to Reliant as well. We've got a 3-way battle up ahead there. Quite of a beautiful move by Benny Buno, who gets ahead of Hackett and Rika. Oh, and somebody crashed out. That's Joe Hayward in the wall, and he's stuck on the curb. Oh, we've got a red flag. I've never had a red flag before. This is crazy. I have never had a red flag before. This is crazy. All right, sorry, by the way, guys. I'm just going to have a quick look into the chat. Summers is the Irish derivative of Summers, but I'm British. Okay, makes sense. Ireland, hey, I don't know. I've been to Ireland a year ago. I was there for 3 months. I actually have no idea how they managed to speak their accent like they do, but it's crazy. I don't know. They've also have a lot of different accents. Could you could you resend the invite? Didn't receive it for some weird reason. Oh, sorry, Romero, I didn't see it in time. I will send you one right now. Hopefully you're gonna be able to do something with that. 1 second, we're gonna be racing straight away. I just need to capture this, and then I will send you the invite, Romero. Hopefully you don't mind. But you will be starting from a clean sheet. Why is that deleted? I have no idea. There we go, going into turn 1. Oh, and there's carnage between the McLaren boys. Benny Bruno and Hammers UK crash into each other. And just after that red flag, we've got a crash again with heavy damage. And it might have been Nexton as well, because he's all the way in P18. And I'm going to send you that invite right now, Romero. Here we go. Send you the invite, Romero. There we go. Joe Hayward might be able to get a comeback race going. No, he goes into the gravel. I mean, there is no gravel in Azerbaijan, but there was a little bit of gravel on track. I mean, most likely because this track is during the week. Oh, what is Joe? What is he doing? He might have an issue with his wheel. I think he might not be able to turn. And is that the case for the Mercedes driver? No, the wheel is turning quite fine. No idea what happened with Joe Hayward, but this is a race to forget, I'm afraid, for the Mercedes driver. Now it's Stewart against Brandon. Zedoval is holding up strong, but just dropping out of that 1 second. Coming out of turn 15. Let's have a quick look. He's pushing, though. He's trying to stay close, but it's just not quite enough. The drivers won't have the DRS yet. It will be next lap. And Elliott actually doing a good job. He switched over to the medium tires to not finish the race on those medium tires. I think the guys who went onto the hard tires actually did a better job there. Most likely because they can finish the race on those hard tires. I don't think Elliott can finish the race on the medium, so he will have to switch on to another set of medium tires. Benny Bruno coming into the pits as well. Gunnar and Kenji. What is Kenji doing? Kenji has gained 6 positions. Gunnar has gained 12. What is happening right now? There is also a big battle between Daniel and Rika, as Daniel keeps P8 at the moment. Joe's keyboard slid back and something was pressing his screenshot button, so he couldn't move, and it was just spamming screenshots. Oh man. Oh, that's really sad but quite funny actually. Oh man, imagine you racing and you just see screenshots all over your screen. Oh, that's funny. You know, it's like back in the days when movies were made, like porn would pop up everywhere. This is kind of the same scenario, but then with screenshots of the race instead of porn. All right, let's go back on board with Zedoval in P3 at the moment, as he's trying to hold up strong, and he's been holding up strong quite well. Currently entering lap 8 out of the 26. As Hackett and Bogorovsky, Hackett not really having the race he wanted to have, although he's got quite a big gap to Nexton, who has been very unlucky after that red flag scenario. And yeah, it's not easy for the guys to, whenever they're on track, to keep their focus after a red flag. You know, you're racing, you're full of adrenaline, you're kind of trying to make an overtake or whatever, you're trying to keep yourself on track. There's a red flag, there's a little break of like 5 to 10 seconds, then you gotta get going again, get racing again, and then some drivers make mistakes, and that is exactly what happened with Benny Bruno and Hammers UK. Not sure what happened with Joe here. Oh yeah, it was the keyboard scenario. As Elliott is not taking the P3 from Zedoval, but that is quite obvious because Elliott is on those medium tires. He's going to be pushing for quite some time right now. But then around lap 14, 15, he will be dropping off again, and then we will be seeing Zedoval and Evan making that overtake again. Let's have a quick look with the tires real quick. 7-lap old hards for Evan. He's going to be coming into the pits around lap 14, 15, 16 maybe, to go on to the medium tires to finish off the race on those tires. But apart from that, we're going to be seeing Reliant, Kenji, Daniel, Miyaki, Hackett, Skipper, all of the guys on the mediums actually still having to come into the pits. And that is quite disappointing if you ask me. But obviously, if you start on the hard tires, there's nothing else you can do unless staying on the hard tires like Evan did. But I'm not sure if that's going to pay off either for the Alpine driver. I'm not receiving the invites for some reason. Will I join the race here instead? That is totally fine, Romero. Maybe try to restart the PlayStation or whatever you're playing on. I'm pretty sure it's usually when you get disconnected, it's always that the drivers don't receive the invites. As we're looking at Brandon making a move down the inside, he's got a lot of straight line speed compared to Stewart, like we saw in that qualifying. But right now he makes up a position again. Beautifully done there by Brandon. As I was saying, remember, it's always when drivers are dropping out of the session, they don't receive the invites because their PlayStation is still in, or like whatever console you're on, you're still in like, I dropped out of the session, so I don't want to be in any more mode, and you just gotta reset it real quick. Oh, look at that! Brandon got pushed into the wall quite. Managed to avoid it, and Reliant was knocking on the door as well. What a battle between Stewart, Brandon, and Reliant, and this is turning into a race again. Instead of a 1v1. We've got 5 drivers battling for the lead of the race right now. Evan, who's holding up strong. Reliant almost going into the battle of Brandon. And Stewart is really pushing. He's really trying to get away from Brandon, Reliant, and Zetterval. Because if you're in P1 and you're sticking in P1 and you don't give the rest of the guys behind you, they're going to be battling for quite some time, and you can run away, you can win this race, and that is exactly what Stewart is trying to do here tonight in Azerbaijan. By the way, guys, apologies if my commentary is not as great as you hoped it to be. It's because I haven't been commentating for like 3 or 4 weeks, because it's been quite some time. Because of the holiday seasons, obviously. We had New Year's Eve last week. We had Christmas Eve the week before. And then the week before, I don't think there was a race. I didn't do that race. Yeah, that was it. That was it. Brandon again down the inside of Stewart. Here he goes, but Stewart holds up strong. What a defense from the Alpine driver. Push the throttle a little bit further, coming down the corner. Oh, now goes into the wall, though. Might have got a little bit of front wing damage there. Reliant isn't going to go for it again. Oh, the medium tire runner. Can he take the lead of the race? I think he's going for it. I think Reliant is going for it. Into the lead of the race goes the Kickstarter driver. There is some carnage going into turn 3. There might have been some wing damage between Brandon or Stewart. And side by side they go, coming out of turn 4. Who will come out ahead? Apparently it will be Stewart. And I think this is a great opportunity for Reliant to run away on those medium tires at the moment. And this is what we call a race. Usually around Azerbaijan, the races are not as spectacular as these ones, but look at this. 5 drivers battling for the race win. And then we've got about 4 or 5 drivers battling for P6 as well. And this is what racing is all about. Formula 1 is by far the best racing class anywhere around the world, and that is exactly what Delta 2 Racing is showing right now. They're currently on track. They're currently racing in one of the hottest environments in the world. Obviously, the drivers are not feeling that in their sim racing cars or sim racing chairs or whatever you're racing on, controllers. Maybe, you know what would be fun? Well, that would actually be a good concept. Whenever the drivers are racing around Azerbaijan, they gotta put a heater next to them, and they just gotta feel like they're in a hot climate. And then, for example, when they're racing in China, when it's full weather, they gotta race outside. That is quite funny. Here comes... Oh! Look at the Mercedes driver almost going into the back of Stewart. Just avoids the wall, but he gets overtaken by Zetterval. Now Stewart back into the lead of the race. Reliant get caught off guard because of that Mercedes driver. But he's got the DRS again coming down the straight. Back into the slipstream he goes. And what will Reliant be doing? Back into the lead of the race? Yes, indeed he will be. And that will be P1 for Reliant again. Although, can Stewart do something about it? No, he can do better. He can do better. I think he doesn't have to go into the wall for that many times like he has already. But maybe it's the pressure building on his shoulders. Because there's also a Swedish lad behind him who's really trying to push past Stewart and Elliott to get his first race win of the season. And the top 5 is doing a great job, but Gunnar is really gaining a lot of time. A broken front wing there for the Haas driver. If I'm not mistaken, I saw a front wing coming off his, a front plate coming off his front wing. And maybe I should be looking at the guys here at the back of the grid as well, because we have been seeing some changes. Barry Bogarowski got overtaken by Hackett. Daniel got overtaken. No, Rika got overtaken by Daniel. And Nexton is looking to make a move as well on Skipper and Barry Bogarowski. And the Red Bull driver definitely has the base to be able to do that in a couple of corners. Stewart takes the lead of the race as well, as we're going to be looking at a position switch between Skipper and Bogarowski coming down the straight. Miyagi and Kenzie are switching positions as well. Zetterval and Relly at P1 and P2. P2 and P3, my apologies. Here we go, coming down the straight. Skipper into the slipstream of the Williams driver. What can he do? Seems like he can't be doing too much. Doesn't have the DRS or doesn't have the straight line speed. Nexton maybe? No, it's not good either. Let's go on board between Evan and Brandon. Oh, Evan. Oh, he was looking for it though. He was looking for it. And it's almost time for him to come back into the pits. It's going to be around like 14, 16. And then he should come back into the pits onto the medium tires. But what will Elliott be doing? He's struggling on the medium tires. We can see it based on where he is right now. If the tires were still great, he would be in the lead of the race by quite some time. But right now finds himself in the middle of this little battle. Let's go on board with Nexton here. Is he going to shove it down the inside? No, he's backing out of it. And the guys are really close to the wall there in turn 5. And that is definitely something you want to do if you want to have a lot of pace around Azerbaijan. But what you don't want to do if you don't feel very comfortable in your car. There is a yellow flag in sector 1. That is once again Joe Hayward. And this is a race he wants to forget as well. Mainly due to the keyboard issues. But yeah, this is something you as a driver cannot be doing anything about. It's just something you have to forget as soon as possible. Move on to the next race and just perform whatever you can there. Zetterval apparently takes the lead of the race right now. We might want to be focusing on those guys. Heading into turn 1, Zetterval with the DRS most likely. Elliott once again retired from the session. And we've got another yellow flag. Elliott, I think it is in the same corner where he crashed out last time. As Evan apparently got a 10-second time penalty because of a severe collision with Elliott. So did we see an incident between both drivers? Most likely. As a lot of guys are coming back into the pits. And I think we will be seeing Evan come back into the pits as well. Who has to come into the pits? Miyagi, maybe 6-lap old medium tires. It's not looking great for the Aston Martin because he can be doing another 13 laps on those tires. I'm really curious to see what Zetterval, Stewart, and Brandon are going to be doing because 6-lap old hard tires, is it going to be enough? Is it going to be fast enough at the later stage of this race? Most likely. Here's the thing, if the drivers switch on to the medium tires right now, they've got to be doing 13 laps on the medium tires. I think that's just too much to ask of those medium tires, and it's going to be a challenge there for the lads. I'm just going to drink a little bit of water just so I don't get dehydrated. But Elliott has fucked up the race. He's fucked up the sprint race, and this is something he wants to forget as well. Maybe we will do some more calculations on the Drivers' Championship. So Brandon doesn't necessarily need to win another race. He doesn't even need to finish the race if you want to be Drivers' Champion, I'm afraid. That is if the drivers get 25 points, obviously. So he's currently 36 ahead with 8 points on top of that. You've got 44. It can still be done. It can still be done for Elliott. Oh no. Well, not if Brandon is going to win this race and he's going onto the medium tires. Daniel stays out. Evan comes into the pits. He moves up to P7. He's going to be serving those 10 seconds. So he's going to be dropping down even more positions. But it's Setterval coming out of the pit lane in P2. But Daniel apparently doesn't. And he's hoping for another safety car, I reckon, because you're not going to be lasting those mediums till the end of the race, I'm afraid. So Benny Budo is not looking at a great position either. But he might be looking at a P2. Oh, wait. Discord is giving him an error. For some reason, I don't know why. Maggot is going to lose a position to Gunnar, because Gunnar is scoring about 8 points tonight. So that is indeed going to be a position switch. Nexton is going to move a position as well, although he is all the way in P13, no points scored. He's not going to lose one to Hayward. Hayward has been doing really well. I mean, sort of. He had a P9 in the first race of the season, P15 in Mexico, P9 in Austria, P4 in the Italian Grand Prix. Then he had a P2 in the United States Grand Prix, or was that Miami? I'm not sure. Then he had a race win in Belgium, but then it went downhill. A DNF in Abu Dhabi, a P7 in Monaco, and a P9 in Saudi Arabia. And then it's also going to be around P15, 14, or 13 in Azerbaijan. So it's not looking great for Hayward. But then let's have a quick look, because there's something about Miyagi that I've noticed over the last couple of races. So he usually has a good race, a bad race, good race, a bad race, a good race, a bad race. So he had a P3 in Austria, he had a P9 in Italy, he had a P3 in the USA, he had a P18 in Belgium, then he had a P3 in Abu Dhabi, but then he had 2 DNFs. So maybe a P3 today? Maybe a P3 today. That could be very interesting. And then a P3 in USA and then a DNF in Japan. That would be quite funny. Somebody is coming into the pits. That will be Daniel. And that is not the move you want to make as a driver. I mean, he's not going to make it anyway if he stayed out on the medium tires. But you wanted to come back into the pits a lap earlier. Because right now everyone is just going to get past you. And that is not a good idea. Tire-wise, we are looking at the medium tires for Zetterval, medium tires for Stewart, medium tires for Brandon, Miyagi, Gunnar, Rika, and Evan, all on medium tires. Benny Buno is the only driver in the top 13 on the hard tires. And we've got one driver being Romero on the medium tires, but he's not in his car, so that is not his very own position. Kenji in P14 on 6-lap-old hard tires. Joe and Hammer Suke in P15 and P16 on the hard tires. So it's looking like a medium tire battle here in the top 7. Maybe Benny Buno is going to find the pace later throughout this race, because 11 laps on the medium tires is quite a bit, but we don't know whether it's hard to say that the medium tires are not going to last till the end of the race. They're definitely going to be worse than those 2-lap-old hard tires of Benny Buno. So maybe Benny Buno just has to keep up with Evan, Rika, Gunnar. I don't think Barry Bogarowski has got the pace to keep up with Benny Buno anyway. As we're looking at some position switches here between Gunnar and Miyagi. And is he going to give back the position? Doesn't look like it. So we are ready to rumble here in Azerbaijan. There's about 10 more laps to go after this one, and hopefully it's going to be a spectacular last stage of this race. Zetterval is going to start the safety car restart. Oh, and he's going already. That's Stewart. And the guys here at the back of the grid are crashing into each other. Zedevol is weaving all over the place. I think he can only move positions twice. And here comes Stewart into the slipstream. He goes already. Drains all of the ERS. He's got into the lead of the race. He goes. And he pushes the Ferrari into the wall. They just made it out of the wall in time. And that was some spectacular battles between the both of them. Brandon is going to be stuck behind Zedevol now, and that is exactly what Stewart was trying to do. But can the British driver get past the Swede? Or will the Ferrari driver make it difficult for the Mercedes driver to get past and then let Stewart run away? There is already a 7-10 gap between Zedevol and Stewart at the moment. Gunnar here in P5 also trying to get past the Greek driver. And it appears like the Europeans are really dominating here in Azerbaijan. Does Gunnar have the pace to make that overtake on the Greek driver? I don't think he will be, but Miyagi also doesn't have the pace to keep up with Brandon. So I'm afraid Miyagi, for the sake of his very own race, has to let Gunnar go and then try to stick into the toe of Gunnar, because right now he's losing the toe. He's gonna lose the toe of Gunnar as well down the straight, and then he's even gonna lose a lot of more time because Gunnar will have the DRS. Will Miyagi have the DRS as well? Let's go on board with Brandon here, who's on the tail of Zedevol. The both of them have been battling throughout the sprint race. The both of them have been battling throughout the race. And now that Stewart is running away, this will be a battle for P2. Stewart has got a decent amount of lead. Zedevol with the straight line speed. Zedevol with the straight line speed. What will Zedevol be doing? Down the inside he goes. Drain all of the DRS he's had. And he's going for the lead of the race. Look at that. Zedevol. But a switchback from Stewart. Look at that move from Stewart into the lead of the race again. He had the inside line coming into turn 2. And now Brandon will benefit from that mistake of the Swedish driver. Side by side they go. Both drivers have DRS. And will it be a three-way overtake into turn 3? No, it will be not. Stewart just stays out ahead. And Miyagi and Gunnar are not giving up because of the battling that's happening ahead of them. They're keeping up with the top 3, and they've also got the DRS, both of them. So this is looking great for Miyagi. A P3 is still an opportunity, a possibility for the Greek driver, but just gotta bump up the pace a little more. You might want to go on board with Hackett here as well, who's on the tail of Barry Bogarowski. Every now and then Hackett has a crazy performance on track, but today it doesn't appear to be so. B10 lost a position so far. Nexton dropped 8 positions already. And then, of course, we've got Joe Hayward dropping 5. Kenji and Hammers UK not really showing up here in Azerbaijan either. As Brandon on the tail of Stewart, he caught up to the Alpine driver again as we're heading into lap 18 out of the 26. Still plenty of racing to go, but will it be enough for Zedevol, Brandon, or Miyagi to take the lead of the race? I think it will be for Brandon, as he's got the DRS coming down the straight and still plenty of ERS left in the tank. I don't think he even needs it going into turn 1. He's using it anyway. He's just got to save the DRS because he made that position anyway. Zedevol now down the inside of Stewart. Will it be another spectacular switchback from the Alpine driver? It doesn't look like it. Gunnar and Evan seem to be having a battle as well. And I'm really curious to know whether Evan is going to get another penalty because of that incident with Reliot. He got a 10-second time penalty from the race, and he served it into the pit lane, which is quite to my surprise that he's still in P6. He's still in P6 after a 10-second time penalty redemption in the pit lane. We're seeing a lot of position changes here in P2 and P3. That's Zedevol and Stewart once again battling with each other. As Zedevol takes P2, Brandon now running away. Tire-wise, we are looking at medium tires for the top 6. And Benny Buno is holding up strong like he should. 1.3 seconds behind Evan. He's got 1.2 seconds behind him on Rika. So this is looking great for Benny Buno as well. His first race after his surgery. If I'm not mistaken, it was a surgery in his feet. Or in one feet, I don't remember. But he's doing a great job. If this is his first first race after a surgery, and he's racing on wheel because obviously you need your feet to be able to give gas and such. He's doing a spectacular job. There's a crash in turn 15. That is Daniel. And if I'm not mistaken, that was a crash with his very own teammate because Nexton lost the front wing as well. Evan and Gunnar are having a battle. Here comes Evan down the straight. The DRS wide open. Both drivers actually have the DRS, but Evan just has enough straight line speed to make that overtake on Gunnar. Into P5 goes the Alpine driver. A little bit deep into that corner, though. Gunnar is going to have a go at it again. Look at that. He did a Hamilton. That is exactly what Evan shouldn't have done, because right now he might possibly lose the DRS as well. And it seems like he does. He's dropping out of the DRS. And it's not looking great for the Alpine driver. He doesn't have the pace like he used to in the sprint race. And Benny Bunor is now under attack from behind. Rika on the tail, but it's Hackett who's looking to make a move on the Lithuanian driver as well. Can Benny Buno keep up the pace? Doesn't look like it. 3.84 seconds behind Evan. And he's really lost a lot of pace in these last couple of corners. And a lot of time as well. Zederval is losing the pace and the tail of Brandon as well. 1.3 seconds so far as Stewart currently in P3. It's not looking like he's making an overtake anytime soon. Maybe down the straight. But he's bringing Miyagi and Gunnar with him. And Miyagi, you know, he has got what it takes to make that overtake, to go into the top 3. But Gunnar, what a race he has had already. 13 positions gained. Although he does lose a position now on Evan. And Stewart gains a position on Zederval as well. Brandon with the fastest lap. Stewart beats that by a second. 141.6. And he's pushing the pace right now. Stewart wants to get that race win for the Alpine team. It's a battle between Mercedes and Kick Sauber, but maybe Alpine wants to have a go at it again as well. Miyagi now looking to make an overtake on Zederval. He was just not close enough, and Evan lost the DRS on Miyagi as well. So it will be a 4-way battle for the lead of the race. Or maybe it will be a 2-way battle, because Zederval is now dropping the pace as well. Let's go on board with the guys here in the midfield as, oh, Joe Hayward going into the wall. Nexton makes that overtake on the Mercedes driver, and these are a little too many mistakes for Joe Hayward, I'm afraid. Take it into the rear. I mean, why do I always say into the back or into the rear? Into the tail of Benny Buno right now. Guys, you really have to put a right now count. I don't know why, but I say a lot of right now. And there's a virtual safety car. Rika and Barry Bogarowski had a collision with each other. 10 seconds for the Lithuanian driver. And that is going to be a big penalty later throughout this race. With the virtual safety car right now, I'm curious to see who's going to come into the pits. Definitely not Benny Buno. And I don't think any other driver will, because you do lose 15 seconds. How many lap old tires are they on? 6 lap old hard medium tires. Nobody will come into the pits. Or will they? Brandon comes into the pits. So does Stewart. Zederval as well. What is happening? Miyagi as well. Evan as well. Gunnar as well. And Benny Buno will stay out. Look at that. Benny Buno might actually win this Grand Prix. No fucking way. It is Benny Buno into the lead of this race. He's got a virtual safety car, but those yellow flags will be going soon enough. Oh, an actual safety car is coming out. No way. No way. I thought Benny Buno was gonna have it in the back. But apparently he doesn't. Oh, this is really fucked up for Benny Buno. Why didn't he come to the pits as well? No, Benny Buno. Everyone came into the pits. So did Joe. So did Barry. So did Nixon. So did Hackett. So did Zederval. And Zederval actually dropped back to P9. So not sure what happened there for the Ferrari driver, because Miyagi, Gunnar, and Evan all made the overtake on the Ferrari driver. Maybe a double stack? No, that's not possible. How did that happen to Zetterval? Miyagi in P5, Stewart in P4, all on soft tires. Did I say medium tires earlier? I don't remember. My apologies if I did. It's obviously the soft tires. But Benny Buno is not going to be able to win this Grand Prix on A-level hard tires. But who will? Guys, please put your guesses in the chat so that I know that there's still a little bit of life in the chat, because it's been dead for a couple of minutes now already. Please let me know your guesses. My guess goes to Brandon. I feel like it's too much of a struggle for Stewart to still get past Hammers UK and Benny Buno, while Brandon only needs to make that overtake on Benny Buno. Although Stewart did have the pace throughout the race, though. He managed to get back to Brandon, to the rear of Brandon. Zetterval changed front wing, according to Romero. That is indeed a good explanation to why he dropped back that many positions. It does make sense. Thank you very much, Romero. Appreciate it. Yeah, race win-wise, I'm thinking about either Brandon or Stewart. Miyagi is in the top 3 now. I mean, P5, but both drivers on the hard tires are not going to be able to keep those positions. 9-lap-old hard tires, they're just a little bit in the having a disadvantage here compared to the soft tire runners. Although, wait, all right, I got a theory, a conspiracy theory on the soft tires. So, the drivers came to the pits when they were on 6-lap-old mediums. Is that just because the medium tires are not faster than the soft tires, or was that maybe because the medium tires were already worn out? And then, lap 23, lap 24, lap 25, lap 26, you've got 4 laps on the soft tires. Maybe they're going to be wearing out as well. And then maybe Bruno and Hammers UK have got a little more. But no, I don't think that's the case. Because 9-lap and 10-lap-old hard tires are definitely not faster than 4-lap-old soft tires. I was just hoping for a theory here, but there is none, I'm afraid. Quite sad. Actually, I want to go to Azerbaijan once. It's a very small country. And Baku, I think it's a really beautiful city. Yeah, look at that. A lot of buildings, a lot of trees. It's looking very tropical. Yeah, I feel like it would be a country worth to visit, with a lot of castles as well. And, you know, the beach is close to the beach. And it's a beautiful flag as well. It's a colorful one. It's... yeah, I think it would be worth it once to look at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Then maybe look at one of those balconies. Trying to get inside a family's home and then just watch it from the balcony. That would be quite funny. Hey, I'm from Belgium. Oh, you're from Belgium. Hello. No, that would be quite too funny. Safety car is coming in this lap, though. Meaning we will be having 4 more laps of racing. As I said before, guys, make sure to put your predictions in the chat so you do have proof of you guessing the right name correct. Now, I'm going to go on board with Benny Buno. Let's get rid of these tires. We already know who is on older tires, being Benny Buno and Hammers UK. 4 more laps to go. Benny Buno into the lead of the race, but Brandon is looking to make an overtake down the straight already. He's going to be draining quite a bit of ERS to be able to get there. And he's weaving the tires. He's weaving the car. So is Benny Buno. When is he going to go? It's 3, 2, 1. No, it's not. He's not going to go yet. He's going to wait. He's going to wait. He just doesn't want the straight line speed. Oh, yes. Look at that. Brandon got caught sleeping. And now Hammers UK is on the tail of the Mercedes driver. And like they say in the Cars movie, boogity, 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 we are ready to go. Oh, and it's Stewart right the outside of Hammers UK. Almost crashed out the McLaren driver. And now he's just going to get eaten from behind. The Greek driver goes into the rear or into the side of Hammers UK as well. And now Gunnar makes a position on Miyagi. Let's have a look here with Gunnar around the outside of Hammers UK. And not sure what happened there, but it's 2 drivers who went into the rear or the side of Hammers UK. Stewart making up a position on Brandon. Side by side they go. Around the outside goes Stewart. And he's really feeling comfortable on those soft tires. And Benny Bruno is still in the lead of this race. What can the McLaren driver do? Not too much. As Stewart is going down the inside already. Is it going to push the McLaren driver wide? It doesn't look like it. And this is really, really favorable for Stewart, as Brandon is now having to make an overtake on Benny Bruno. There's a crash in the castle section and another safety car situation. Man, that is really unfortunate. Daniel crashed into the castle section. Yes, we might want to go on board with Zetterval. I think Zetterval had a crash as well. He has a broken front wing once again. And he went from a top 3 position, maybe even a P2 or a race win, to last position. And that is definitely somewhere we don't want to see him, because he's got the pace to be a championship winner. Another safety car, another lap under yellow flags. And what strategy will the guys be going for? I don't reckon anyone will come into the pits again. They do have another set of soft tires, but I don't think they will use it. And nobody will except for Zetterval, because he's got a front wing to change. And nobody's coming into the pits exactly like I thought. Zetterval is a little bit too far behind. Will he come into the pits, or will he stay on those? Oh, Kenji is coming into the pits. He most likely has a broken front wing as well. Let's go on board with the Haas driver real quick. And yes, sir, they already have a front wing ready. No, they don't. Apparently they don't, and he goes into the soft tires. And that is quite explanatory. No, I don't even know what the word is. That's quite... How do you say that? Logical? It's quite logical. He was on the hard tires. No idea why he even went onto the hard tires in the first place. Zetterval apparently comes into the pits, but he's going to be too late, because the safety car is going to come into the pit lane again after this lap. It has to in the last 2 laps of the race. Obviously, we cannot finish the Grand Prix behind the safety car. And I'm pretty sure the guys know that as well. Brandon stuck behind Benny Bruno. Stewart can just run away. But the driver with the DRS down the last straight will have the upper hand. Will that be Brandon? Will that be Stewart? That will be for 2 laps from now. Hammers UK and Benny Bruno? I'm going to say something probably controversial, but Benny Bruno actually did a good job not coming into the pits. He bumped all the way from P7 or P8 to P2, and he might be finishing his race in that position. Hammers UK just needs to keep the guys behind him who are already behind him. And not in a way like he used to after the first safety car, but just by keeping it clean, keeping it difficult for Miyagi, Evan, and Nexton to get past. I mean, I'm not even sure if it was Hammers UK's fault. I just didn't quite see what happened there. And the yellow flags in your left top corner are flashing. And that means the safety car is coming into the pits. The guys are weaving their tires, they're weaving their cars. And I'm gonna use the cars phrase again. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Once we are ready to race, it's Stewart restarting the safety car restart. And will he be going late? Will he be going early? We don't know that for sure. Is he already gonna go? He keeps on weaving, he keeps on weaving. Benny Bruno not weaving at all. He doesn't want to be caught sleeping. And now he goes. Here comes Stewart. And you already saw it a little bit. He stopped weaving for a little bit. And then, you know, he's not gonna wait any longer. Down the straight we go. It's Brandon weaving all over the place, trying to keep Gunnar behind him, saying, Gunnar, you're not gonna get past me, buddy. Hammers UK keeps both drivers behind him. And it's Evan and Miyagi who are making it difficult for themselves. Look at that. Miyagi and Evan side by side coming out of turn 2. And Hammers UK stays in P5. What can Brandon do? Into the penultimate lap of this race. Zetterval gains a position on Kenji as well. And they're going to be keeping on battling there. Let's go on board with the guys here in the middle of the field. Joe Hayward bumped up to P9. A good recovery race from the Mercedes driver. But the big battle will be between Brandon and Benny Bruno. Benny Buno needs to let Brandon get past as soon as possible. I mean, for the sake of Brandon's race. Because otherwise, we might be looking at a P2 for Benny Buno, and that would be quite funny. Gunnar as well trying to squeeze through, but he just can't find a place, can't find a spot, can't find a gap. Oh, and there goes Benny Buno, and he takes out Brandon. Oh, man, Gunnar is going to be making that overtake on the Mercedes driver, and that will be a very furious situation for Brandon. Stewart now has a gap of about 2 seconds, and what a monster Benny Buno is. Has the guts to stay out on the hard tires, and he's just gonna stay out on these hard tires till the end of the race. He's keeping Gunnar and Brandon, who are both on fresh soft tires, behind him, and what a beast the McLaren driver is right now. He needs the points. He just got back from surgery, but he doesn't fucking care. Here comes Gunnar around the outside, and he just cannot make that overtake. Brandon around the outside as well. We're going 3 wide into turn 1, and Benny Buno still keeps the position. This is some amazing racing from the McLaren driver, and I think Gunnar knows that. Gunnar just trying to make that overtake. It's just not working. Yellow flags in sector 1 as well. There is some battling going on. Miyagi drops back to P11. Might have been another incident between Hammersuke and Miyagi, but this is something I've never seen before. Benny Buno on the hard tires. Apparently the hard tires are better compared to the soft tires, but 13 lap all hard tires is what Benny Buno has to do it with. And can he keep up the pace coming down the last straight? Into the penultimate sector we go. And he needs to finish the castle section in full first. Here he goes. Please don't go into the wall. Oh, that was really close there for Benny Buno. And I'm really wishing him the best position here in this race, because he's been fighting through carnage. He's been fighting through a difficult strategy for himself, but he's made it work. What can Gunnar do? Goes onto the curb. He might have lost a bit of time there. The race win will go to Stewart if he doesn't fuck up the last sector. And look at Benny Buno. How much ERS does he have left in the tank? About 50%. It won't be enough, I'm afraid. It won't be enough. Gunnar will have the DRS. Here he comes. Oh, no. This is not going to be enough for Benny Buno. He's going to have to let the other guy go past. And what will Brandon be doing? It's Brandon, looking at the P2. No, it's Benny Buno almost taken out Brandon. And what a race finish we had. A lot of battling here as well in the midfield. And what a crazy race finish. That was a lot of guys who were within 2/10 of the drivers ahead of them. Look at that. Brandon 95 thousandths, Benny Buno 2/10, Evan 1/10, and then we are just gonna have to look at the results at the end of the race. But this was a crazy Grand Prix. Evan even got a P5 after a 10-second time penalty. I think if you didn't get that 10-second time penalty, you would have been able to get the race win. Gunnar, driver of the day. And I'm gonna have to look at the results to see the differences between the drivers, because this was the late safety car made things very interesting. And these are going to be the points for the drivers. No points scored for Stewart in the actual sprint race, but 25 points in total for the race. Then we've got Brandon in P2, Evan in P3, Gunnar in P4, and Benny Buno in P5 in the overall standings. Race-wise, we're looking at Stewart in P1, Gunnar in P2, and Brandon in P3. I think we can call Brandon a driver champion already after those 15 points, because Reliot won't be able to get more than 50 points anymore. So that is going to be your driver's champion. Of course, without... I mean, I don't think he if he even gets a penalty, I don't think it matters that much. Looking at the differences here, Evan gets the fastest lap as well with a 141.4. Hammersuke in P6, Joe Hayward in P7, Nexton in P8, Kenji in P9, and then we've got Miyagi in P10. Further, we've got Rika, Barry, Bogarovsky, Zedorval, Hackett, Romero, Daniel, Skipper, and Reliot all the way in the back of the grid. Reliot kind of bottled it today, I'm going to be honest with you there, but good race from Stewart. He managed to get the race win. He managed to make that overtake on Benny Buno quite early after the safety car restart. And what a race he's had. Benny Buno, a fighter, a real fighter, but he didn't manage to get a better position than P4. But congratulations to you guys. I mean, 2 safety cars is usually something that the admins don't want to see. but these safety cars actually made the race spectacular. They made it interesting, and they made it great for me as a commentator as well. I would like to thank you guys for watching this race as well. Hopefully, I'm seeing you again next season, next week, obviously, not next season, next week. If I'm not mistaken, it will be just after my exam, so I will still be here. I might not be there for the season ender because my girlfriend's birthday is around that time. So I'm just gonna have to think about it. I will let you guys know. But thank you anyway for watching the live stream. It was the first time after 3 weeks or 4 weeks of no commentary that I've commentated again. So hopefully you guys didn't mind too much. And I would like to thank Barry and the other admins again for the opportunity for me to give comes to you guys. I'm gonna wish you guys a pleasant evening, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye bye. This was Sweepy Thomas as your commentator. Peace out.